This video is not going to be a super in-depth video on how to do high-end color correction. This video will offer helpful tips when doing color correction and probably put color correction in a different perspective than any other video you've seen on YouTube. I will be using the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle, but if you watch the video until the end, you'll realize you don't need the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle. I'm going to start off by dragging Premiere Pro from one monitor to the other so you can see there's a bit of color shift. Also, the darkness and brightness is probably shifted a little bit. I'm going to play this timeline or sequence back, whichever you want to call it. The Intensity Shuttle is connected to an AV monitor instead of a computer monitor. As you can tell, there's a big difference. The one has almost like a golden brown tint to it. The other one, some might say, looks overexposed. The one on the computer might look better than the one on the broadcast monitor, but which one looks the best is irrelevant, and we'll soon get to that in just a minute. Here I am putting the program on the second computer monitor, and as you can tell, what's being output with the Intensity Shuttle does not change. None of these video clips have any type of color correction filter applied. I don't doubt some of you are thinking both images look pretty horrible, and I would tend to agree. You really shouldn't try and videotape a computer screen. As I stated earlier, it doesn't matter which image you think looks better. In order to see if Premiere Pro has accurate colors, you would need to see what the video clip coming directly out of the camera looks like playing back on your TV or some kind of AV type monitor. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm connecting my camcorder into the broadcast compliant hardware. As you notice, it looks a lot like when it was playing out of the Intensity Shuttle. The other monitor is just playing it using Premiere Pro, but I made it full screen. You can go back and look at the shadows, the brightness, the colors, and you'll find out the Intensity Shuttle is mimicking what the camcorder looks like 100%. I'm wondering how many of you watching this video knew that the Intensity Shuttle would mimic what the camcorder would look like. That's why I stated what you see on the computer monitor is irrelevant. I'm going to play the video from the camcorder again to the AV monitor, and I'm also going to play the video using Premiere Pro and the computer monitor again. For this video, I made my computer monitors look ganky so they wouldn't match the video coming out of the camera to the AV monitor. Usually by default, my monitors do match what's coming out of the camcorder to the AV monitor. Not 100%, but pretty darn close. It doesn't matter whether I have AOC monitors, LG monitors. It doesn't matter whether I use Premiere Pro on my Mac Mini or my PC. A lot of you might find that to be the case as well. I am going to say, rather than make a lot of adjustments to the parameter of your computer monitor, you might want to check the settings with your graphics card, your operating system, and Premiere Pro. The reason being, if you jack around a lot of the parameters on your computer monitor, programs like Photoshop, Lightroom, and your 3D animation software programs might kind of look ganky. With Premiere Pro, you can go to the menu bar, select Edit, scroll down to Preferences, go to General. We have the option to display color management as well as extended dynamic range. If we select OK, you should have seen a little bit of alteration in the monitor of the Premiere Pro software itself, but it doesn't affect anything else on the computer like the graphic user interface of Premiere Pro or the desktop of Windows. Depending on your computer monitors and the destination of your video project, you may or may not want to enable those parameters. Some people have stated the image looks just fine when playing it back in Premiere Pro, but if they export and play it back using OBS Studio, or if they play it back using QuickTime, there's a gamma shift or perhaps even a color shift. You can compensate for that by using an adjustment layer. You can turn it on and off as needed. The proc amp and the gamma correction filter should be more than adequate to compensate for different playback devices. For the record, the videos that I watch on QuickTime using my monitor usually matches Final Cut Pro 10 and Premiere Pro pretty darn close. Premiere Pro will let you compensate for different media playback devices during export. You can apply a LUT. When you apply the LUT, you'll have control over the gamma, the contrast, the brightness, the saturation. I would prefer to use an adjustment layer to compensate for different playback devices, but either method will work. I made this video to demonstrate when you're using Premiere Pro with third-party hardware, it will look identical to hooking up the camcorder itself up to a professional AV monitor. You won't get any gamma shift or any color shift. Now, if you're on an iMac and you look at the video clip in Premiere Pro and you look at it using QuickTime, it's not really a question of which one looks better to you personally. It's which one mimics that of the video clip being played right out of the camera onto the TV. I admit it would be nice to see what the camera looks like on a professional AV monitor, but your TV will work. Your TV might have a theater mode, a sports mode, a cinematic mode, but it would be best to view it using just the standard mode. If your video project is not going to be broadcasted, you don't need your computer monitor and the graphic user interface of Premiere Pro to match what's coming out of the camcorder on a professional AV monitor 100%. You just want it somewhat close. The reason being is if you're uploading to social media, somebody might be watching your video on an iPad, an iPhone, or even a Dell laptop. You won't know what the video will look like on their playback device.